हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू आईएफएस एंड वेरी गुड आफ्टरनून टू ऑल ऑफ यू। सो आज के सेशन में हम पढ़ने वाले हैं पोस्ट मॉडर्न एज ऑफ इंग्लिश लिटरेचर। सो जैसे इन द लास्ट सेशन वी स्टडीड अबाउट द मॉडर्न एज, नाउ दिस इज पोस्ट मॉडर्न एज, मतलब मॉडर्न एज के बाद क्या हुआ। सो मॉडर्न एज वाज एंडेड इन 1950. So after 1950 till 2000 we have one more age, that is the postmodern age. Okay, so postmodern age, so it was the time after the Second World War. Okay, it was in between the 19th and the 20th century. Okay, so remember this, that this was the age where the Second World War was ended now. So now we have to see कि Second World War end होने के बाद क्या क्या चेंजेस आए, व्हाट वाज द हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ पोस्ट मॉडर्न एज. ओके, so let's get started. So first, what we have to understand is that USA became the superpower. Okay, because now USA started gaining, USA won the wars. That is why now, and Britain lost so much of their wealth, health, everything, people, and they lost the battles as well. That is why Britain was now the defeated country, and who took over? Then USA was the superpower. So USA became superpower. Okay, next the Cold War started. Now the actual wars were ended. Everybody ended the physical wars, but the Cold War started. Now you already know what a Cold War is, yes? So which is through different types. So for example, not supporting the other country, or working against the rules of the other country, and everything was against each other. Okay, so the Cold War between the countries, for example, global conflict, then nuclear destruction, then genocide came up. So these were the symptoms of the Cold War. Cold War was there between countries. Okay, in which what all things came? Global conflict, then nuclear destruction, okay, and genocides. So for the best example here you can see is the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing. So where USA started war with the Japan. Okay, then the next or the third historical thing or event that happened was the technological advancement and space exploration. So now people started developing themselves, started making machineries, started making use of technological advancements. Okay, and they also started studying for the space now. Now the study, the scientific study of the this particular earth was already going on, that was already started. Now the scientists were also keen about the space. So they also wanted to study about the space, and they also wanted to develop themselves in the technological world. Okay, and USA took forward, USA took the first step, you can call it, or USA was in the first position in this development, in this advancement. So this is the another historical thing you have to, or the background you have to remember. So it was the technological advancement and space exploration. Next, is people accepted the fragmented and disoriented world. Now people have already accepted this whole war situation, that we are going to be unemployed, then we have to struggle a lot, we have to work hard for to improve our conditions. But now the people have accepted this and they are starting moving forward with these conditions. So people accepted the fragmented and disoriented world. Okay. Next, so for the best example of this is the T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. The Wasteland explains this concept of disorientedness and the fragmentedness amongst the people through the book of T.S. Eliot, that is The Wasteland. T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. Next is that people accepted this life, which we already talked about. The next is multiple meanings. Now, what is this multiple meanings? Multiple meanings मतलब क्या होता है? That there can be endless interpretations of a literary work, which was also, so there will be multiple meanings that will come up with the same work of art. Okay, so if I think that this pen is black, you might say that this pen's color is dark. Okay, so there are different interpretations about this one particular thing. Got it? So that is what was going on, or that is what happened in the postmodern age, where because there were so many theorists, there were so many scholar people who had their different interpretations, they had their different opinions, different ideas, different thoughts, and a different perspective looking at the towards one particular thing. Okay, so that is why what you have to remember is that people started making their own interpretations out of one particular work. Okay, and this could be compared with the post-structuralism. So post-structuralism was something like this. So it is, there can be endless interpretations. Okay, of the literary work. Got it? Next important thing that happened was the post-colonialism. Now, what is the post-colonialism? So, the study of cultural legacy of colonialism was being done. So where people studied about the colonization that happened earlier. Okay, because you all know that Britishers were the people who actually colonized in different countries. So the postmodern poets, the postmodern writers started studying all those things. Okay, and it focuses on the consequences of the control and exploitation of colonized people and their lands. So what actually happened after the colonization with the lands of the people, how the colonized people suffered, what they faced, was being studied or was being in the focus for the writers. The colonialism. Okay, so these were the important, this was the important historical background of postmodern age. Now we are going to study for the literary features of postmodern age. So the first literary feature that we are going to talk about is the Theatre Act of 1968. So what was this act? So it abolished a censorship of the stage in Britain. For example, the works of Samuel Beckett, okay, which tells us that the censorship of the stage was abolished, means it was taken aside. So there were censors to the theaters, but later on it was abolished, it was discarded. Abolish the censorship of the stage in Britain. Okay, एग्जाम्पल क्या है इसका? सैमुअल बेकेट वर्क. Then you can also see this kind of theater act in the I don't remember the name of the writer right now, but I'll definitely tell it to you once I remember. Okay, so yes, it is the John Fowles. Then there is also Ted Hughes. Okay, so these were the people whose work was being seen, or Harold Pinter's work was in the Theatre Act of 1968. Okay, next is the Theatre of Absurd. Now, what is this theater of, before we discuss about the theater of the absurd, let's discuss the Angry Young Man theater. So, what is this Angry Young Man theater? It was the literary movement in Britain after the World War II, okay? And it was a revolt against the social inequality. So, the people, or as you already know, that the laborers were treated in a very inhuman manner. Yes, so they were not getting the respect, the importance that they should get. Okay, so that is why the poets or the writers started talking about the inequality that was going on, social inequality, in the Angry Young Man theater. Okay, so what was Angry Young Man theater? It was the literary work or literary movement, okay, in Britain after World War II. Okay, and it was a revolt against social inequality. Revolt means the when you protest and when you fight against whatever was going on at that time. So it was a revolt. Inequality. Okay. The best work you can see here is John Osborne's. So John Osborne wrote the play Look Back in Anger. Okay, so belong to this movement. Look back in anger. Okay, look back in anger. Sorry. Anger. And who was the author of this book? John Osborne. I'll just highlight it. Yes, because you have to remember this work of art written by John Osborne. Okay, and so this book or this play basically belongs to the movement. Okay. Now we are going to talk about theatre of absurd. What is this theatre of absurd? So it was also a literary movement in Britain pioneered by Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter. Okay, so it was pioneered or it was led by Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter. So उन्होंने इस literary movement को बढ़ावा दिया था and these playwrights followed the theory that Albert Camus, okay, so gave in his work The Myth of Sisyphus. So ये एक थियोरी थी द मिथ ऑफ सिसिफस. तो इस थियोरी में okay, so now let's continue. I'm extremely sorry for the interruption. Okay, so what I was talking about is the theatre of absurd. So ये theatre of absurd ये एक literary movement था which was led by Samuel Beckett and by Harold Pinter. So what was there in this movement? So basically there was the playwrights who followed the concept of the work that the myth of Sisyphus. तो ये द मिथ ऑफ सिसिफस क्या था? So Sisyphus was a person who was punished to roll the rock on the hill. Okay, so he has to roll the rock on the hill, and when he do that, the rock again comes on the comes down, and then again he have to come back down, then again he have to push it upwards. Okay, so it was continuously going on and on and on. Okay, so for example, like this. So first he will go like this, then he will come down again, then he will go up again with the huge rock in his hand, which is really very difficult to do it. Okay, so so through this book or through this work, what was shown, the common man's struggle was being displayed. Okay, to understand the world is similar to the Sisyphus. Okay, there was this idea of Sisyphus. So Sisyphus was the what you can call it, a significant person, or he was signifying the common man. Okay, he was a figurative person, he was the representative of the common people. Understood? So this was the whole idea of the myth of Sisyphus, which was, and who followed this method? Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter followed this method. Okay, they followed this particular work or the idea basically. Then in the theatre of absurd plays, actions of characters are not logical. So the actions, whatever the writers or the these playwrights were playing were not at all logical. They were just there for the term of the what you can call it, entertainment. So let's write it down. Literary movement. Pioneered by Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing, so these playwrights followed the theory. Followed the theory of the myth of Sisyphus. So you have to remember this story of the myth of Sisyphus. And what was shown in this? The common man's struggle to understand the world is similar to that of Sisyphus. Okay, so there was a there was an interruption in between the lecture because of the internet issue. Um, Yes, we will just continue. So, as I was talking about the temporal distortion, so before I talk about it or before I move further, I would just like to reply to Disha that yes, Disha, this is the last lecture of this particular series because the British literature is all about these ages. Okay, जैसे old and middle English age से starts and it ends in the 20th century with the postmodern age. So we have discussed all the British literature ages one by one every day. So if you haven't watched the previous lectures, go and watch it today itself so that your British literature studies will be completed. Okay. So yes, so I was talking about that. What is temporal distortion? It is the narrative with non-linear timeline. Next is the story does not follow any chronological order. Chronological order. The example of temporal distortion is Catch 22 by Joseph Hiller. Next literary feature we are going to talk about is magic realism. What is magic realism? Shows of realistic view of the modern world. So this shows the realistic view. Modern world. So example of magic realism is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. So even if you also whenever you are reading this work, so now when you will read the Midnight's Children, then you have to find out these literary features in that particular work. Okay. Salman Rushdie's the 100 Years of Solitude by Garcia Marquez. Okay, so this is one of also one more. Then the faction. What is a faction? So faction is the combination between fact and the fiction. Okay, so your fact will be also there, and with the help of the fiction we are going to show that fact. Okay, so I know these both are the very contrary or contradictory words or concepts, but still you can imagine how beautifully the works are being written in faction genre or in faction in this feature. What will be there? Okay, so yes, so faction is the combination of fact and fiction. Okay, so these are the 10 literary features that you have to remember of the postmodern era. Now we will look for the important poets of this age. So poets, who are the important poets? First poet is the Seamus Heaney. Second is Philip Larkin. Third is Ted Hughes. Fourth is Roy Fuller. Okay, then we are also going to look for the novelist. Which are the important novelists? So there are a lot of novelists which are very famous and which you should read about. Our first is J.R.R. Tolkien. Second is Jeanette Winterson. Third is Bram Stoker. Fourth is Christopher Isherwood. Then Somerset Maugham. Then Doris Lessing, William Goldings, Kingsley Amis, J.K. Rowling, and John Fowlis. Okay, so these are the few important novelists that you have to remember. You have to study them individually. You have to look for their major works of all these writers one by one. Okay. And last, we are going to talk about the playwrights. So, which are the important playwrights? First one is Samuel Beckett. Second is Harold Pinter. Third is John Osborne. Fourth is Tom Stoppard. And fifth is Arnold Wesker. So, these are the famous playwrights of the modern, postmodern age. Okay. So these are the only things you have to remember. So basically what you have to remember of postmodern age is the historical background. Then second, the literary features. So there are 10 most important literary features related to postmodern age that you have to remember. Then you have to look or remember for the novelists. Next is the poets and also the playwrights. Okay, so learn and try to remember or study each and every playwright, each and every novelist, each and every poet individually. Okay, make your own notes on these, in which you have to include the background of that poet or writer, then the famous works and what he is famous for. Okay, so these three things you have to write and make your own notes, because from these works the questions are going to be asked in your exams. Okay, so this is it for this particular session. I hope you have understood the session. If you have any queries, any doubts related to the session, do let me know. I'm always there to help you out. Until the time we meet next, happy learning. And yes, of course, from Monday we are going to start the new lecture series that is related to the paper discussion, okay, of UGC NET English. So please be present from Monday onwards on the same time at 3 p.m. Okay, so see you soon.